recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. And today I have a blend of hot and cold, warm and cool. So we'll be beginning our practice heating the body up with movement that is very vibrant and heating the muscles upper and lower body and really getting the heart rate up and elevated. And then we'll spend the second half of class cooling down, calming, and really working on flexibility. I do have my strap and my block and my blanket, so take any props that you need today to help you with the poses. And we'll come today first to a standing meditation. So I'd like for you to stand, and your feet can be about hips distance apart. If you want to make it a little challenging for balance, you can bring the feet a little bit closer together. And stand in mountain, and then just close your eyes for a moment. And notice the breath. Notice the body, and notice the brain. So the word yoga translates to mean union or uniting. So we're uniting today the body, the breath, and the brain. So we're fully in the present moment with each one of our poses today. Focusing on our alignment and our posture. Focusing on the inhalation and the exhalation of each and every pose. So as you stand, we're noticing our center of gravity. Imagining a pole inserting from the crown of your head through your spine, exiting down into the earth, the center of your feet. So we'll take that center of gravity and slightly bring it forward. So as you hinge forward, you're hinging from your ankles and you're feeling pressure into your toes. Now you're off center of gravity. And notice how the toes work to grip the earth, to keep your body in balance. Come back to the midline. And then take your body center of gravity back a little bit, as if you were going to tip back off of your heels. And notice how your core needs to brace to keep yourself from falling over and to maintain that center of gravity. We're not back bending, we're just taking the entire body and moving it slightly back. Then we'll come back to the midline and take your entire body over to the right just a little bit, so you'll feel more energy into your right foot, but that left foot is still firmly grounded and rooted. We're not doing a side bend. The body is still in mountain. We're just doing a little bit of a lean from the feet. Come back to the midline and do the same thing to the left. Now, if you need to keep your eyes open, that's okay as well. This is a little difficult to do with eyes closed, but it's a nice challenge for our balance and for our awareness. When we close our eyes, our other senses become a little bit more online. Our hearing, the feel of the mat underneath us. We'll come back to the midline and find perfect center. Open your eyes with a soft gaze. And then step the feet wide, slightly turning the toes out for moonflowers. Inhale, reach, five-pointed star. Exhale, sink into a squat and pull your shoulder blades and your elbows back, so you're creating space through the front of the chest. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, retract the shoulder blades. Now we can do this slow if we're in a cooling or a cold portion of our practice. But since we're in a warming or hot side of our practice, I want you to begin to pick up the pace, stretch, and pull. Stretch and pull. Inhale, exhale. You can find that breath through the nose, both directions, or through the nose and the mouth. Inhale, breathe in, breathe out. Excellent. Now, not necessary to go at my pace. I want you to find the one that works best for you, but start to bring yourself into a heating side. 4 more. 3, 2, 1. Reach up and hold. Cross the wrists above the head. Dive down, bending the knees, and cross the wrists towards the floor. So you're in a nice deep squat. Inhale, this is sunflowers. Exhale. And again, if we're in the cooling side of our practice, we're going to take this slow. But as we're heating, begin to pick up the pace. And up and down. Up and down. Try to change the cross of your wrists each time you come up. Right over left, and then left over right. And we're feeling those legs working. Heart rate is starting to pick up a little bit. Exhaling. 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach up and hold, 5-pointed star. So we'll combine these 2 movements. We've got a moonflowers, elbows and shoulder blades back, crossing the wrists, and a sunflowers diving forward. Inhale up, moonflower, up, sunflower. And start to pick up your pace. Inhale, exhale. Nice job. Now, if you're bothering your knees at all with this, you can make your bending of the knees small, or we can take it nice and deep. Inhale, exhale. 4 more of each movement. And 3, 2. Last one. Reach up, hold, 5-pointed star. Press the palms at your heart. And just touch your thumbs at your heart. Feel it beating. Feel your breath flowing in and out. Notice your body warming, heating. 1 more breath. And then we'll step to the top of our mat. Feet either tight together or hips distance apart. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale to sit into chair, palms at heart center. Circle sweep arms. Inhale. Exhale, sink. Now, I'm not too fast on this one for shoulders, but I do want you to start to pick up your pace. Make sure your knees are tracking over the center of the feet. 2 more, circling the arms this way. 1 more, and hold. Reversing the arms, press up, circle back, and press the palms. Inhale, circle back, and sit. And pick up that pace, still in our heating mode. Circle can be small if you have shoulder issues here. 4 more. And 3. 2. And hold your chair. So we'll alternate the direction of the circle. So 1 repetition, the arms come down, around, reach, the palms press. On the next one, reverse, up, back and press. We go down and press. We go up and press. Now pick up that pace a little bit to your comfort zone. The inhale is each time you stretch the legs up to straight, and the exhale is as you sit into chair. If the arms are starting to bother you, just hold your hands at heart center and work into the legs. 2 more each direction. One more each. And hold chair. If you can, close your eyes. Notice the brain, the body, and the breath. And we will rise back up to mountain pose. And then step 1 foot back. Depending on which direction you want to go with the camera, we'll come into warrior 2. And line the shoulders, the hips squared forward. Align your knee over the ankle. And we'll breathe in, reaching the arms up, straighten the right leg, or whichever one you have in front. Breathe out and sink into this leg. And again, inhale and exhale. Now you can turn the head to that hand that's in the front each time. So you've got some rotation of the neck. Let's pick up the pace. Breathe in, breathe out. So we are doing a single leg press with that leg that's in front, straightening and bending as deep as you feel comfortable. If this bothers your shoulders, you can change the arm movement or just leave it out. Do what feels good for you today and leave out what does not. 3, 2, 1, and hold that warrior 2. Drop your shoulder blades down. Feel the work in that front leg. We'll take a side angle pose, stretching over with the waist, pulling up, and a reverse warrior. So I do want you to pick up the pace, but not too quickly with this, because I want you to protect your back and try to connect it to the breath. And we stretch on each side and find range of motion. And if you would like, you can add the bending and the straightening of that front knee. So it's bent in side angle. It straightens into reverse triangle. And we bend. And we pull up. We're working through the back muscles, through the obliques, through the core, through the legs. Last 3. And 2. 1 more. Come back to your warrior 2. Hold. We'll come into triangle. So this front leg straightens. The hip kicks back a little bit as we reach out long, and the hand comes down to your shin, or maybe to your block, or to the floor if you have that flexibility. But try not to bend over from the waist to reach the floor. So we're not folding forward, just in a nice side position. And if you'd really like to work the core here, unbrace the arm by reaching it out, and even the top arm can reach out. And we'll hold this nice and steady. 3 breaths. Legs are active, core is active. 2 breaths. 1 more. Find support again down to the shin. Bend that front knee, rise up, warrior 2, and place your hands at your hips to relax your shoulders. So we'll pivot the feet. That front foot turns in, the back foot turns out, and we find our warrior 2 stance. So as much as you can, square your torso forward, but keep pulling this knee back. So try not to let it roll forward toward the big toe. Find your warrior two. Sink down into that leg as much as you feel comfortable. And then we'll straighten the leg as the arms rise. Inhale, exhale down. And if you have any knee issues, you can make this small. I want you to stay in a pain-free range. If the knees are healthy, you're strong, you can sink it a little deeper. And we can move the head, looking out toward the front hand, and then looking forward. Adding our breath, inhale and exhale. Once again, if your shoulders are bothering you, take the hands out of the movement, because you can simply be here and here, or anything else you'd like to do with your arms. So we leave out what doesn't feel okay for our body. Let's do 3 more. And 2. 1 more, and hold your warrior 2. Shifting into side angle pose. The elbow comes down to the thigh. We stretch over and then pull up into reverse warrior. And do your first couple repetitions really slow to get the movement. And then ever so slightly start to pick up that pace as we are heating and warming. Use the breath. Wherever you'd like to inhale and exhale here is absolutely fine. Just keep it moving. Then we can add the legs as we bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Excellent. 3 more. And 2. 1 more, finishing with our reverse warrior. And back to warrior 2, preparing for triangle. Straighten out the front leg, reach out long, and then let this hip sort of shift over to the opposite side. Bring that hand down and reach up into your triangle. This hand can rest gently at the shin. Try not to put it on your knee itself. You can also bring it to a block. Or we can unweight that hand, reaching it out. And the top arm can also reach out. Ooh, really intense on the core here. 3 breaths. And 2. Abs zipped up. 1 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hand comes back to support. We rise up to sink down into warrior 2 one final time. Shoulders are down and back. We'll cartwheel the hands down to the mat and push yourself back into downward facing dog. Start to pedal out your feet a little bit, dropping a heel to the mat and the other heel. Stretching out through those calves. Stretching through the toes, the feet. And we'll do 1 more on each side. Heel drops. Heel drops. Then press both heels down nice and even. Stretch. Bend your knees deeply. Look toward the top of your mat and step the right foot forward. Come up into Crescent Lunge. So we have those hips and shoulders squared. Back heel is lifted off the floor if possible. If that feels uncomfortable for your toes, take a little bit of a step forward with that back foot and let your heel come down and do warrior 2. So we'll go from high crescent or warrior 1 to javelins. We'll inhale here. Exhale, hinge forward, reaching your arms behind you. Feel a nice stretch to the fronts of the shoulders. Breathe in to come up. Breathe out to bring the arms back. And again, not too quickly because we're dealing with the shoulders and the back, but start to pick up your pace just a little bit. Inhale. Exhale. Nice strong shoulders as you bring those arms back like you're pressing in on a little beach ball. When you come up, you can do a little bit of a back bend, stretch, and down. 3 more. Legs are really working here. 2. 1 more. Hold your javelin or lift up off the back foot, coming into warrior 3. Nice balance pose here. Hands can remain back. You can bring palms to heart center. You can reach the arms out into airplane or forward. 2 more breaths. If you're in warrior 3, step back to your lunge. Take a breath in. Exhale, reach hands down to your mat. Press back into downward facing dog. Take a moment to pedal out your feet, or if you need a breather, you can drop those knees and rest in child's pose. And then we'll prepare to move into the other side. So from both heels down, bend your knees, look forward toward the top of your mat, and step your left foot all the way up. Rise up into high crescent lunge, or step forward just a little with the back foot and plant the back heel down for warrior 1. We'll inhale here to stretch up. Exhale to javelin. So as you come into javelin, you're going to feel that front leg start to resist the earth a little bit more. So you'll feel some work in your quadricep. And just a little bit, pick up the pace with the breath. Sweep up, sweep back, strong arms. Head stays neutral for the most part, so try not to drop your head down and come into javelin this way. You want to stay nice and neutral. 3 more. Up. And 2. 1 more. And you can hold your javelin for some good core work here, or lift that back leg up into a balanced pose, warrior 3. Choose your arm position. Root into that front leg and try to level off your hips. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And if you're in warrior 3, step back to your lunge. We'll inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale to bring hands to the mat and step the back foot forward. Come into forward bend. And you can step your feet a little bit wider if you'd like here. Grab your elbows and dangle down into a rag doll. You can rock your body from side to side a little bit. You can also bend a knee and then the other knee as you sway a little bit back and forth. So we're stretching, and yet we're still moving. We're not stationary, not still, not in our cooling segment yet. Come back to center. And then do a nice reverse swan dive, coming all the way up, reach. And lower the arms by your side. Step your feet back together if they're wide. You can bring them hips distance apart or tight together. We'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale to chair and reach your arms forward in front of you, but pull your shoulder blades back. Maybe practice that a couple times. So arms are forward, but we go back with the shoulder blades. Try that one more time. Reach forward, pull the shoulder blades back. Now hold the shoulder blades back. Set your drishti, or your focal point, your gaze upon something, and try to lift your heels up off the floor any amount. So you're on the balls of the feet. And we sink down, and we rise up. And down, rise up. We've got 5 of these. Try to keep those heels lifted. Here's 3. And 4. And 5. Drop those heels, hold your chair. 1 more breath. Then inhale, sweep those arms out, stretch. Exhale, swan dive back into forward fold. Step or jump both feet back to plank. So we are still in our heating segment. So nice and strong through the core. Your option is to set your knees down on the mat. You might like to widen your feet here a little bit as we try to pick one hand off the floor and the other hand. Reach one and the other. So with knees down, same thing. Reach one hand and switch. You can do this from all fours. You can walk your knees in. Go one hand and switch. Make this doable for you. Breathing. 2 more each arm. 1 more each arm. And then hold your plank. Drop your knees down. Rest back into child's pose. We'll do the same thing with our legs. So you can go from a nice full high plank. You can go from a kneeling plank or from hands and knees. Lift one leg up and switch. And tighten your glute muscles as you lift. Feel that work in the rear and down the backs of the legs. From your knees, looks like this. One up and switch. Nice and stable through your core. 2 more on each leg. Lift and lift. 1 more each. Lift and lift. Hold your plank just for a moment. Then drop those knees. Rest in child's pose. So we are going to do one hand, 1 foot, 1 foot. So we can be from all fours. This is great. You can do right arm, left arm, right leg, left leg. To make more challenging, walk your knees back behind you a little further or come up on your toes. Here we go. 1 arm, 1 foot, foot, straight arm reach, reach, straight leg, reach, reach. Now I want you to reverse the hand you start with. So start on your left and your right. Left leg, right leg. 2 more each side. Left, right, left, right. Strong core. Left, right, left, and right. Hold your plank. And drop those knees. Rest in child's pose. You can also bring your hands next to the sides of your body. Relax. Let your wrists relax. All right, we are 30 minutes into class, so we're going to start to bring it into cooling. Start to do that by slowing the breath. And with the breath slowing, the heart rate begins to slow. One more breath. And then we'll prepare to come into pigeon or on your back, figure 4 stretch. So for pigeon, we'll draw one knee forward and slightly rotate that knee out to the side as we bring the ankle forward and let that back leg slide back. Now I like to have a little bit of a padding under my hip because I can't quite get it all the way to the floor. So I'm going to sit on my blanket. If you're on your back, cross one leg over the opposite thigh, pull those knees up to your chest. We'll take a nice big inhale here, and then exhale and bring yourself down to a nice comfortable place. As we come into our cooling segment, our body is still warm, so it gives us that nice warm musculature to stretch it out deeply. The muscles are not cold, so they should be able to give way to the stretch, to surrender to the stretch. And if pigeon bothers your knee, feel free to roll over on your back and do your figure 4 stretch. It's a wonderful way to stretch those hips. And then we connect the body, the breath, and the brain. Oftentimes when we hold poses for a long period of time, our mind begins to wander. And we lose our focus on the pose. We go elsewhere with our thoughts, to obligations we have for the day, to random noises we might be hearing outside. So stay fully present in your body as you breathe here, so that you're well aware of any unnecessary pain you might be feeling, so you can make adjustments. We have just about 20 seconds remaining here. Deepen the breath, longer, fuller inhalations, complete exhalations. And see if you can sink deeper those last few seconds of the pose. And as we prepare to move, if you're on your back, you can release those feet back down to the mat. And maybe shift your knees from side to side for a little bit of windshield wiper legs. If you're in pigeon, you can come back to your hands and knees and do a couple of cat and cows, or maybe downward dog and pedal out your feet. And then we'll prepare to move into the other side, either on your back, crossing the opposite ankle over the thigh, or bringing the opposite knee forward for your pigeon. Make sure you feel nice and supported and comfortable. Now, if you're doing pigeon and you feel like you're rolling over on your hip, I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be perfectly squared. I want you to do the stretch where you feel the most comfortable. When you have that position, we'll rest down into the stretch. And immediately begin to notice, do you feel anything that is different in this side of your body? It's very rare for us to be completely symmetrical one side to the other. So we find areas that are maybe a little bit tighter or a little more free. And then begin to connect the brain and the body and the breath. Noticing if you're tensing in your body anywhere. So check your shoulders, make sure they're relaxed, and your neck. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw or wrinkling your eyebrows or forehead. And make adjustments as you need as we progress into this hold. Perhaps you can go a little deeper, or maybe remove your prop. And we have just about 30 seconds to go. Make sure the breath isn't shallow. Really pull it in deep, down lower into the belly. And then we'll prepare to move. So if you're on your back in figure 4, lower those legs back down. Maybe do some windshield wiper legs. We're up in our pigeon. You can come back again to a down dog or to some cat and cow. And then we'll make our way all down onto our backs. If you need a little pillow for your head, we're going to be there for a while, so you can give yourself a little pillow. And also you will need your yoga strap if you have it close by. So coming down for just a moment, just come into a comfortable reclined position. So maybe your Shavasana, or if that is uncomfortable for your back, you can bend your knees and let them knock in towards one another to relax through the lumbar spine. And just check in, notice how you're feeling in this moment. And we're in our cooling mode. So let the breath really slow and the heart rate, the blood pressure drops as we're here lying on our back. And then we'll prepare for a nice hamstring stretch using your yoga strap as a prop or a necktie or a winter scarf. We'll take that leg up and loop your strap under the ball of the foot. So that way you can pull it down and that will dorsiflex your ankle so you can really lengthen through your calf. The other leg can be extended out straight. And we'll just pull that leg in to find your edge. And see if you can connect with the Ujjayi Breath. So the Ujjayi Breath, we create a little bit of a restriction in the back of the throat. We tighten the muscles that are in the throat just a little bit so that when we breathe, that helps us to slow down the breath. We might hear a soft whispering sound in the back of the throat. That breath is very calming, very relaxing, and it can be very cooling as well. Now we'll move this stretch into the IT band, which runs from the outside of the knee to the outside of the hip. So holding onto your strap with the opposite hand, just ever so slightly move it across the midline. But try not to let this hip lift up off the mat. So it's not a twist, it's just the leg slightly coming across. And this will lengthen that attachment of the IT band down the outside of the leg. IT stands for iliotibial. Tibial meaning the tibia, which is your lower leg bone, and ilial meaning the ilium or your hip. So those are the two attachments of that connective tissue. Now in this stretch, I like to turn my ankle in, roll it in, and then you'll feel this stretch down the outside of the lower leg into a muscle called the peroneus longus. So let's hold there for a couple more breaths. And the straighter you can get this leg, the more you will feel the stretch. So if you need to let your strap down a little bit so you can get it straighter, that's important. Now we'll open this leg all the way out to the side for an inner thigh adductor stretch. So switch the strap to the same hand and open, open, open it out. Now, if you feel your body's rocking over that way, reach your opposite hand out long onto the mat so you can counterbalance the weight of your body. And again, we're not twisting, so try to keep your opposite hip pressing down into the floor. Eyes can be closed if you'd like. Come back to the Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath. So if at all possible, there shouldn't be any quivering or shaking in your muscle. You should feel totally relaxed and surrendered into this stretch. And one more breath here. As you finish the exhalation, very gently bring that leg back to the midline. Stretch it in toward you one more time. And notice if you go further than when you initially stretched in this position. And then we'll release the strap from the bottom of the foot. Come back to a passive place, maybe your Shavasana. Close your eyes for a moment and just notice the difference between the right and left sides of your body. And then we'll take that yoga strap, place it under the bottom of the left foot. And notice, where can I lift it up and get a completely straight leg? And that's difficult for some of us with tight hamstrings. So you might have to really let that strap out so you can lengthen the leg. And then very slowly start to pull it toward you until you find your edge here. Allow this ankle to flex toward you, which really increases the pull on that entire posterior chain of muscles. And relax and find that Ujjayi breath. So what's happening if the muscles start to shake? If you're really feeling this quiver, quiver, quiver while you're shaking, you want to stop the stretch for a little bit and let that dissipate and then slowly come back in. Is that your body telling you that it's gone beyond the point where the muscle wants to allow you to stretch at this moment? So there's little receptors within your muscles called the Golgi tendon organ, or the muscle spindle, the muscle spindle. And then in the tendons, we have receptors called the Golgi tendon organ. And if they feel like they're being stretched too far or too quickly, they will tighten, send a message to your brain that says, stop this from happening. And so then it can result in some shaking. So let's bring this slightly across the midline. So holding with the opposite hand, just a little bit, bring it across until that IT band says, good morning. Woo. And if you'd like to turn your ankle in, feel that on the outside of the lower leg. And maybe you might even feel that in the ankle, in the talofibular joint, which is that talofibular ligament, that ligament we sometimes sprain if we roll our ankle. You might feel it right there because that's lengthening through that tendon. And check to make sure you're not holding on to any tension anywhere. The only tension I'm really feeling is I'm having to tighten my bicep here a little bit to keep my strap in place. But everything else is nice and relaxed. Let's take one more breath here in our IT band stretch. And exhale. exhale completely. As we open this leg out to the reverse direction for the inner thigh, the adductor, a little bit into the groin, go very slowly, very gently to make sure that feels comfortable for you. Now, if you're watching later on YouTube for this class, it might be nice just to pause your video on all of these stretches and to hold them as long as you want to, rather than moving with the pace of the class. And close your eyes, come inside. Notice the brain, the body, and the breath. And let your leg feel heavy. Sometimes the muscle wants to tighten to hold the leg up in the air, but let the strap do that for you. Relax your leg like it's laying in a hammock, completely relaxed. Let's take one more long, deep inhalation. Exhale fully and completely, and at the bottom of that exhalation, gently bring the leg back to neutral. And then give it one more pull toward you to find a little bit more length. And then release that yoga strap. Allow yourself to come back to a passive place. And just check in. So we have stretched the back of the leg, the outside of the leg, and the inside of the leg. So it's time to stretch the front of the thigh. And there's many ways we can do this. I would like to propose that we roll over onto our belly. If this is not a comfortable place for you, then you are going to roll over onto one side. So if you're doing your side lying stretch, you'll be here, you'll be reaching the ankle and pulling it back to stretch through your quadricep. If you're going down to your belly, roll all the way over. And the idea is to be able to reach one of your ankles and be able to pull it in toward your glute. If that's not an option, you can use your yoga strap, bring it in, take it around the foot, hold on to it, roll back over onto your back, and pull it in toward you. So take that stretch that feels most comfortable for you. If you're on your tummy, you can make a pillow for your forehead with the opposite hand. Or you can drop your forehead down to your blanket or pillow prop. Now we can find more range of motion here if we tighten the opposing muscle group, which is going to be your buttock, your glute. So squeeze through the butt and press the hip downward if you're on your tummy, or forward if you're on your side. Come back to the breath, to the brain, and to the body. We have another 30 seconds here in this stretch. If you're on your belly, you can bring this up into half bow, extending up through the chest, Reach the arm out and try to lift the thigh up off the mat. And one more deep inhalation. Exhale and release the ankle. And just relax for a moment. If you are on your side, take your time to roll over onto the other side to reach for that opposite ankle. If you're on your belly and you need the strap, connect that around the bottom of the foot. And then we'll prepare to move into the other side, pulling that opposite heel in toward the buttock any amount and lengthening the quadricep. Now, some of you are pretty flexible in your quadricep, and you might be here saying, gosh, I really don't feel anything. But that's okay. All stretches don't have to feel really intense. When you're doing a yin practice, your stretches just feel moderate. If you're doing a restorative class, they feel even less intense than moderate. They're just gentle. So it's okay if this doesn't feel like a really super intense stretch. But I tell you, for me it does, because I am tight in my quads. Now try to tighten your glute and push your hip down to the floor. Or if you're on your side, tighten your glute and push your hip forward. And then 30 seconds remaining. If you're on your belly, you can take a half bow, reach that arm out long, lift the chest up, and try to lift your thigh up away from the mat any amount. And one more breath here, deep and full. Exhale and release that leg. If you are on your side, let's go ahead and roll over onto your belly. We're going to do a reverse Shavasana. So I'd like you to turn your head one direction, set your cheek down onto the floor, and bring your arms next to the sides of your body. This is a wonderful passive neck stretch. The palms are facing up. The shoulders roll forward toward the earth. The feet are a little wider than hips distance apart, and your toes turn in like pigeon-toed. And try to relax your neck and allow this stretch to happen. If this is not comfortable for you, come into child's pose and just turn your head to that same side for a little bit less of a stretch in the neck. We're not here long. And one more breath. And then before we reverse, just lift your head up a little bit, bring it right back to the midline, and come up into a baby locust. So your chest lifts, your arms lift up, your legs are active. And then start to turn your head the other direction and lay your cheek and your body down to the mat. And one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Start to lift that head up a little bit. Bring it back to the midline. Lift the chest up off the mat. The legs lift. Baby locust. And then just bring your hands to the palms are underneath your shoulders. Let your legs relax down. Press yourself up, back into child's pose. If you'd like to close your practice in child's pose, feel free to remain there and breathe as long as you'd like. Or we can come into a simple cross-legged pose to a seated position. And one last time, we'll connect the brain, the body, and the breath. One last time, we check in and notice how we're feeling. Noticing the benefits of our yoga practice today. The benefits of the heating side of our practice. The benefits of the cooling side. Either remaining in child's pose or pressing the palms of the hands together in your seated position. We close our practice expressing our honor and gratitude for this opportunity to practice together. And the light and love and peace that resides within me honors the light, love, and peace in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. Once I turn our recording off, I'd love to say hello to those of you who have an extra minute or two with me. Have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow in our boot camp class. Great job, everyone.